The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, O Lord.
There was a Jewish festival, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now, at the sheep pool in Jerusalem, there is a building called Bethsaida in Hebrew, consisting of 5 porticos. And under these were crowds of sick people, blind, lame, paralyzed. One man there had an illness which had lasted 38 years. And when Jesus saw him lying there and knew he had been in this condition for a long time, he said, "Do you want to be well again?" "Sir," replied the sick man, "I have no one to put me into the pool when the water is disturbed. And while I am still on the way, someone else gets there before me." Jesus said, "Get up, pick up your sleeping mat and walk." The man was cured at once, and he picked up his mat and walked away. Now, that day happened to be the Sabbath. So the Jews said to the man who had been cured, "It is the Sabbath. You are not allowed to carry your sleeping mat." He replied, "But the man who cured me told me, 'Pick up your mat and walk.'" They asked, "Who is the man who said to you, 'Pick up your mat and walk'?" The man had no idea who it was, since Jesus had disappeared into the crowd that filled the place. After a while, Jesus met him in the temple and said, "Now you are well again. Be sure not to sin anymore, or something worse may happen to you." The man went back and told the Jews that it was Jesus who had cured him. It was because he did things like this on the Sabbath that the Jews began to persecute Jesus. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Yesterday, in the Gospel, we had the story of healing. The healing of the son of a court official. So Jesus had arrived in Cana, in Galilee, and that high official wanted Jesus to travel up to Capernaum to go and heal his son who was at the point of death. So yesterday we saw that the miracle took place because there was someone, a father, who came to plead to Jesus. And we also know that in other circumstances, it is the person himself or herself who is in need of salvation, of healing, who goes to Jesus. But today we have another case, another scenario. It is neither the person himself or herself going to Jesus. It is nor a close relative or someone else going to plead or intercede for the sick person. It is Jesus himself taking the initiative. This sick man did not ask Jesus anything, and nobody pleaded for him to Jesus. But it is the Lord Jesus himself who goes to the person and asks him a question. Do you want to be well again? Do you want to be healed? Do you want to be cured? That is the question Jesus is asking that person. And I think that question Jesus is asking the person who is paralyzed, who is sick, is also the question Jesus is asking to each one of us. Do you want to be well again? Do you want me to cure you? Do you want me to heal you? And each one of us has to answer to that question. It is not just physical sickness or physical illness we have. Every human person is wounded in various ways. We have inner wounds, and this requires inner healing. We have a lot of psychological wounds. We have spiritual illnesses. The question Jesus is asking you and me is, do you want to be well again? And each one of us, of course, has to give that answer to his or her answer to Jesus. But there are other words of Jesus in this gospel which are equally important. Actually, when we read our gospel today, Jesus speaks 3 times. And each time he speaks, the words are very meaningful. So we have seen the first words. Do you want to be well again? Now the second time Jesus speaks in the gospel is by giving the order, which actually will show the power, which shows the power of his words. And it is when he says, "Get up, pick up your sleeping mat and walk." Get up, pick up your sleeping mat and walk. And I do believe that these words are equally important for us. That Jesus doesn't want us to be down because of the problems, because of the troubles, because of the things that are worrying us. Jesus doesn't want us to be lying on the floor, sleeping on our mat. But Jesus wants you and I to get up. To get up. Despite the trials, despite the difficulties I'm going through, I have to get up. I have to carry my sleeping mat. What used to be the symbol of my sickness, of my lack of healing, becomes now the symbol of my healing. So that it becomes something that reminds others of what I used to be, but now it is something different. It becomes also the symbol that I have been healed. So take up your sleeping mat and walk. So Jesus wants us to continue walking in life, of course walking behind him as disciples. So second words of Jesus: get up, pick up your sleeping mat and walk. And the final words of Jesus in this gospel are equally important. After meeting the man who did not know who Jesus was, Jesus tells him very, very, very important words. He tells him this: "Now you are well again. Be sure not to sin any back. No, be sure not to sin anymore, or something worse may happen to you." This man has been ill, has been in sickness for 38 years. And Jesus is warning him that if you go back sinning, your state will be worse than before I healed you. So this will challenge us, because many a times we as Christians, we are looking for deliverance. We are looking for healing, prayers of deliverance, prayers of healing. And once we get our deliverance or our healing, it looks as if, okay, it's fine. So people you see running after places of worship, after ministers to get their healing. The moment they get their healing or their deliverance, many of them, they stop going to church. They stop coming to church. They stop living a Christian life. But Jesus is telling us, it is not because he has healed us that our state later cannot become worse. That is why the best way to fight the devil, the best way to fight evil spirits is to close all the doors, all the windows through which they enter. And how do we do that? It is by living a life of grace, of being in state of grace. So the best shield against the evil forces that will guarantee us that we remain with the healing of Jesus, it is when we make all the efforts with God's grace to remain in the state of grace. We remember what Jesus said in other gospel passages, that when someone has received deliverance, that the evil spirit has been cast out of the person, that evil spirit goes around in the wilderness, in deserted places, looking for a place to go, to dwell. And after some time say, okay, I've not found it, let me go back to where I came from. And when the evil spirit comes and finds that the accommodation is even better than before, that everything is nice for it to come back to the person, Jesus tells us that that evil spirit will go and take other evil spirits to come and dwell in that person, so much so that the state of that person at the end becomes worse than before. So this is a warning which is very important. That yes, Jesus is our healer. Jesus gives us salvation. Even when we don't ask him, he comes to us. He comes to meet us in our wretched state. He gives us healing. He gives us salvation. But we also have to play our own part. We should not just say, okay, because I've been delivered, because I've been cured, because God has done this for me, then I fold my hands and I don't pray, I don't live in state of grace. Jesus is telling us, now you are well again. Be sure not to sin anymore, or something worse may happen to you. So we pray that for you and myself, something worse will not happen to us after Jesus has given us his salvation and deliverance. Amen.
Amen. In bread we bring you, Lord, our bodies labor. In wine we offer you, our spirits grieve. We do not ask you, Lord, who is my neighbor, past and united now, one in belief. Oh, we have gladly heard your word, your holy word, and now in answer, Lord, our gifts we bring. Our selfish hearts made true, our failing faith renew, our lives belong to you, our Lord and King. The bread we offer